Senior advise. If you continue to use these 7 phrases after the age of 70, you will be driving people away without even realizing it. What happens if the words you choose to use are subtly driving people away? When we reach the age of 70, the manner in which we communicate takes on an even greater significance. We may not even be aware of the fact that words that were formerly thought to be innocuous can begin to isolate us. Connecting with others is more important than it has ever been at this point in one's life. In addition to this, it becomes more fragile. A significant number of elderly people speak out of anguish or dissatisfaction, but they are unaware that particular statements gradually construct invisible barriers between them and the people they care about. Unfortunately, they frequently have good intentions. Repetition of such expressions over time causes others to experience feelings of helplessness, discomfort, or even rejection. Nevertheless, they are unaware of this fact. If you have ever wondered why people check in less frequently or why quiet fills the room when you talk, it is possible that it is not your age but rather the language that you choose to use for communication. Through the course of this video, I will guide you through 7 common statements made by persons over the age of 70 that unintentionally alienate others. Not only that, but this is not about trying to make things seem better than they actually are. Understanding how your voice can either build bridges or burn them is the key to success in this endeavor. It's not true that you are the only one since you're getting older. Due to the fact that you can be sending the wrong signals, you are here by yourself. So what is the good news? As soon as you become aware of these patterns, you will be able to alter them. Beginning right now, keep going with me until the very finish, as a result of the fact that the 7th point can surprise you the most. Let's get started. The first phrase is, "I'm just a burden now," which is a problem. Once someone says, "I'm just a burden now," there are few things that can silence a room more quickly than that. This phrase may originate from a state of profound fatigue or a state of silent despair. However, it does not encourage connection among those around you, rather, it prevents it from occurring. Individuals who are concerned about you do not consider you to be a burden. The problem is that when you describe yourself in such a manner, they are at a loss for how to react. They experience feelings of betrayal, guilt, and even resentment. But it's not because they don't love you, rather, it's because they aren't sure whether they should console you, challenge you, or remain silent. And gradually, they quit coming around because they are terrified of causing the same depressing refrain to be repeated over and over again. By speaking in such a manner, we inadvertently put other people in a difficult moral situation. It's a silent test. If you don't show that you care, you're contributing to the problem. Also, that is a burden. When it comes to everyone, the beginning of loneliness is frequently not the absence of someone, but rather emotional shutdowns, comments that obstruct rather than build. She is a retired school secretary in Pennsylvania named Helen, who is 83 years old. Following the passing of her husband, her daughter started paying her weekly visits, bringing groceries and engaging in conversation. The remark, "You shouldn't waste time on an old burden like me," was one that Helen began to repeat over and over again as time went on. At first, her daughter offered her some reassurance. Over time, however, she started cutting the visits short, not because she was malicious, but rather because every talk ended with her feeling guilty. The phrase was the one that caused Helen to push her daughter away, even though she did not intend to do so. In point of fact, claiming that you are a burden is not an act of humility. It is a sort of despondency that masks itself as modesty. Despair, on the other hand, opposes the very warmth that it secretly yearns for. Appreciation, not apology, is what creates a bond between people. Feel free to try expressing gratitude. "You make time for me when you really ought not to have been doing so." The expression of gratitude opens. Deprecation of oneself culminates. A shift in language is not about pretending to be something else. In order to attract love rather than repel it, it is important to select words that invite it. Individuals are eager to be there for you. By showing up, You should avoid giving them the impression that they are going too far. The statement, "No one understands me anymore," also comes in at number 2. The phrases have a kind of a subtle sting to them. Currently, no one is able to comprehend me. This is especially true in light of the rapid pace at which the world is moving. And you begin to have the impression that your existence does not belong to the current era. This phrase, however, does not help to establish bridges. It causes them to burn. Not only do other people perceive your grief when you express it out loud, but they also hear a covert accusation on your part. It gives the impression that they have let you down or that their attempts to connect with you are not successful. And finally, when people believe they have no chance of winning, they give up trying. An honest statement of loneliness can rapidly become a wall if it is not given the opportunity to develop. Due to the fact that the message is now crystal apparent, the people in your immediate environment may eventually stop asking for your ideas or giving their own. Each of us is located on a different side of a divide that cannot be traversed. It is isolating, and it is not because you intended to drive people away, rather, it is because the words accomplished that for you. A retired engineer from Ohio. Robert is 79 years old. Let's have a look at him. Whenever his grandchildren came to visit, they would discuss topics such as music, video games, or social networking. Even though he didn't always follow along, Robert first listened to what was being said. "I don't get any of this," he stated with a tired sigh one day after a narrative about their favorite new app. He said this after the story had been told. "I guess that no one actually comprehends what I'm saying anymore." A statement made in passing was made. On the other hand, after that, they began to appear less frequently. When they did come to visit, the chats were shorter, and the restraint in their laughter was more noticeable. They did not want to give him the impression that he was even more awkward. Consequently, they ceased incorporating him into their universe. The thing that Robert failed to recognize was that they were attempting to involve him. Not because they anticipated that he would comprehend each and every detail, but rather because they want to feel more connected to him. The door was silently shut by his words, which were offering a connection to their audience. That which is more potent than curiosity is as follows. Despite the fact that the world seems foreign to you, I would like to know what you appreciate about it. Also, what does it mean that you are able to remain within the circle? It is not necessary to comprehend everything in order to maintain your connection. All you need to do is be willing to maintain an open mind. I would appreciate it if you could use the second comment section below to let me know that you are continuing viewing this video and that you are finding these insights to be helpful. I strongly suggest that you subscribe to the channel and activate the bell if you have not already done so. This will ensure that you do not miss any videos. With your assistance, we are able to continue producing high-quality content that will both inform and inspire you. Let's proceed with our plans now. This brings us to the third phrase, which is, "I have nothing else to offer." The phrase, "I've got nothing left to offer," is one of the few sentences that conveys the same level of resignation in a silent manner. At first glance, it can appear to be a fleeting display of exhaustion or humility. Nevertheless, beyond the surface, it is actually a graceful surrender. And when you repeat those phrases to yourself a sufficient number of times, you start to believe them. Even more crucial, the individuals in your immediate environment begin to believe them as well. In this same moment, the damage starts to occur. This expression generates a sense of emotional void in the listener. It sends the message to your children, your friends, and even your neighbors that you have checked out, that your presence, your humor, and your wisdom are no longer relevant in any way. Furthermore, it quietly inhibits other people from depending on you, from engaging you, and from asking you into conversations where your experience may shine with the potential to shine. I was acquainted with a woman named Elaine who was 81 years old and had a full life as a teacher and a volunteer in the community. On the other hand, after the death of her husband, she gradually ceased going to several neighborhood meetings and church groups. When she was asked if she would participate, she would simply respond by saying, "Oh, I have nothing else to offer. On the other hand, they finally stopped asking. She was under the impression that she was being modest and even saving other people in danger. On the other hand, she was actually stifling the very voice that had supported and encouraged her community in the past. The truth is, you always have something to offer. Your experiences, your presence, and your own point of view. These are not trivial matters at all. In point of fact, they cannot be replaced, even if you just show up, listen, share a laugh, or tell someone that they are not alone. There are times when the most meaningful present you can give is simply to be there. Someone who says, "I have nothing left to offer," is robbing the world of something that is considered to be precious. The fact that you are still around as a source of meaning and connection over time. Moreover, to make matters even worse, you begin to deprive yourself of the same truth, because the things that we say out loud have the ability to influence the beliefs that we hold. One alternative would be to say something along the lines of, "I may not have the energy I used to, but I'm still here. Even though I am getting older, I still care a great deal." This change in vocabulary communicates to both yourself and others that you continue to be important. It is because you do. And that reminder, when repeated frequently enough, has the potential to open doors that you were not even aware were still open to you. This brings us to the fourth phrase, which is, "I don't want to be a burden." This is a worthy proposition. It is characterized by modesty, self-control, and what seems to be regard for the welfare of other people. However, beneath that gentle surface, the remark, "I don't want to be a burden," carries with it a weight that leads to a profound sense of isolation. Additionally, for a great number of elderly people, the act of repeating this notion becomes a type of silent self-erasure. You start to diminish your presence in the lives of those who genuinely want to be there for you when you continue to communicate it, even if it is in a relatively insignificant way. In the beginning, it might be something as simple as turning down an offer to dinner, turning down a trip to the doctor, or avoiding a talk about how you are actually doing. All the time, it appears to be harmless. But gradually, individuals who are close to you start to feel that you are not actually interested in receiving assistance, in having company, or in making connections. It is not because they do not care that they cease offering, rather, it is because they believe that they are paying attention to your desires. There is an elderly person named Paul who is 84 years old. I used to know him. His 3 grown children all resided within a 1-hour driving distance of him. When people would ask him if he needed anything, whether it was groceries, errands, or even just some company, he would always respond with a definitive, "No, I'm fine. The last thing I want is to be a burden." Once some time had passed, the calls became less frequent. This was not because they did not love him, rather, it was because they did not wish to be intrusive. Paul was left to stay at home, wondering why no one came around anymore. He was misinformed about the fact that the same sentence he kept saying was the one that was responsible for the walls that surrounded him. To tell you the truth, allowing other people to assist you is not a burden. To be human is to do so. Additionally, it is providing them with the opportunity to love you via action, which is frequently the most profound form of connection that we are able to provide for one another. It is possible that your children or friends will interpret your statement as meaning, "I don't want to be a burden," or even worse, as saying, "Don't get too close," to the extent that I would rely on your affection. I do not trust it. Instead, think about expressing gratitude. "That would be really appreciative of me," or "The fact that you asked is really significant." These answers reinforce connectedness without implying any sense of guilt. They ensure that the connection between you and the ones who care the most is maintained. I would appreciate it if you could use the 4th comment section below to let me know that you are continuing viewing this video and that you are finding these insights to be helpful. I strongly suggest that you subscribe to the channel and activate the bell if you have not already done so. This will ensure that you do not miss any videos. With your assistance, we are able to continue producing high-quality content that will both inform and inspire you. Let's proceed with our plans now. The phrase, "It's too late for me," which comes in at number 5. Just a few statements can put an end to the prospect of something happening before it is too late for me. Although it may appear to be conclusive and even innocent, it actually plants a subtle and persistent seed of defeat. When it is repeated frequently enough, this concept not only eliminates opportunity, but it also erodes hope, dignity, and the possibility of experiencing transformation. The fact of the matter is that your age does not prevent you from experiencing progress, purpose, or even joy. At one point in time, I had the pleasure of meeting a woman named Gloria who was 79 years old. The majority of her social activities had been abandoned. Her children were located in a distant location, and her husband had passed away. One day, as she was attending a small neighborhood luncheon, someone inquired as to whether or not she had ever considered volunteering. "It's too late for me," Gloria remarked with a mild smile. And she was right. It was a fleeting moment, but it stayed with me because I could tell from the look in her eyes that she was completely convinced that she had nothing else to contribute. This phrase, which consisted of only 5 syllables, had become her justification for remaining concealed from life. On the other hand, here is something that I wish Gloria had known. The later chapters of life are when some of the most significant things that we do in our lives take place. Think about it. As you get older, your wisdom grows, your compassion grows deeper, and even the smallest of actions, such as a kind word or a story told over coffee, can become extremely powerful. And at the age of 70, many people discover that their expectations begin to disappear and independence begins to emerge. You are not free to give up, rather, you are free to live your life according to your own terms. You cut off your own momentum before it even has a chance to start when you remark that it is too late for me to do anything about it. It is your responsibility to remove yourself from the game before anyone else does. The tragedy lies in the fact that the door was not completely shut the majority of the time. It merely required a gentle push. Consider asking what is still feasible rather than stating that it is too late for me to do something. That a single change in terminology can open the door to a completely new destination. Whether it's learning how to use video chat to connect with grandchildren, teaching yourself how to paint with watercolors, or simply joining a walking group in your neighborhood, each step communicates that you are still here and that you are still important. If you have found yourself saying that term, I hope you will take a moment to pause because it is not too late to change your mind. It is possible that this precise moment is the ideal time to do something. The phrase, "No one even needs me anymore," comes in at number 6. As soon as a person begins to believe that they are no longer required, they experience a form of pain that is not immediately noticeable. The expression, "No one needs me anymore," is more than just a way to convey feelings of isolation. This comes with it the burden of being invisible, of having the sensation of being abandoned by a world that seems to continue on without you. And for a great number of elderly people, particularly those who have spent their entire lives providing care for other people, this sentence can feel like the concluding chapter of their lives. Nevertheless, that belief is nearly never accurate. In many cases, it is not that you are no longer required, rather, it is that the manner in which you are required has merely shifted. At a younger age, you might have been responsible for the upbringing of children, the management of a household, or your contribution at work. Having that function provided you with a distinct sense of purpose. But when you're in your 70s or 80s, you might not necessarily have a title to go along with your mission. Wisdom that is passed down, presence that is freely offered, and kindness that is shared without fanfare are all examples of what it looks like. Example. Take Leonard as an example. At the age of 83, he lived by himself and remained largely solitary. His neighbor heard him say, "I don't know why I'm still here." On multiple occasions, "I am not required by anyone." However, after a power outage that occurred over the winter, The same neighbor stopped by and asked for assistance in starting a generator. Leonard's entire life has been spent in the profession of a mechanic. It was at that precise moment that all of his years of experience became invaluable. Perhaps most importantly, he experienced it. The phrase, "No one needs me again," was not mentioned by him. To be busy or to be in demand is not the same thing as feeling needed. It is about being aware that you can still make a difference, even if it is in a calm and unassuming manner. An encouragement note to a younger member of the family, a phone call to a friend, or a memory that is shared with a neighbor are all examples of such things. These are hardly insignificant deeds. They are means of survival, and they serve as a reminder to both ourselves and others that our presence holds significance. You cease reaching out to people when you truly believe that you are no longer required. You withdraw, and the feeling of loneliness intensifies. Nevertheless, everything shifts when you come to the realization that someone in the world can gain something simply by listening to your voice, your tale, or your laughter. I would appreciate it if you could use the 6th comment section below to let me know that you are continuing viewing this video and that you are finding these insights to be helpful. I strongly suggest that you subscribe to the channel and activate the bell if you have not already done so. This will ensure that you do not miss any videos. With your assistance, we are able to continue producing high-quality content that will both inform and inspire you. Let's proceed with our plans now. Lastly, the statement, "It's too late for me," comes in at number 7. Out of all the things that we say to ourselves, this particular one is the one that has the most pressure on the door that leads to possibilities. A single sentence that has the effect of shutting down the mind, the heart, and the future is one that says it is too late for me. You are being told to stop striving, to stop dreaming, to sit down quietly and allow the remainder of your life to pass you by. This is the phrase that you should be listening to tell you the truth. However, it is nearly never too late provided that you do not believe that it is. What we frequently fail to remember is that getting older is not a final act. Simply put, this is a transitional chapter. Despite the fact that you may not be as quick or as physically powerful as you once were, the value of the life experience, emotional insight, and spiritual depth that you have earned is incalculable. When you are in your 30s or 40s, you do not experience that type of richness. Rather than being buried behind the cloak of, "It's too late," it is supposed to be utilized, shared, and lived with, as it has been earned over the course of decades. One individual by the name of Clarence did not begin writing his first book until he was 82 years old. Despite the fact that he had always desired to, life continued to get in the way. In the aftermath of the death of his wife, he sat down and began writing, not because he believed that the world was waiting for him, but rather because his soul required it. This book ended up being a gift not only for his grandchildren, but also for complete strangers who discovered solace in the words that he had written. In the event that Clarence had convinced himself that it was already too late, none of that would have occurred. Seeing as how it is never actually about time, it is already too late. Fear is the issue here. It's the fear that you won't succeed, that no one will care, or that failing will make you feel ashamed of yourself for trying. The only thing that is worse than failing is not making any attempt at all and then having to live with the lingering pain of regret for the rest of your life. You still have time to compose a letter that you have been intending to send. Even if you are 70, 80, or even 90 years old, take up a new pastime. The manner that you treat yourself and other people is something that you consistently put aside or simply alter. You have not reached the age where you are unable to forgive, heal, laugh genuinely, or live your life with a sense of purpose. The tale that you keep telling yourself is the only thing that is preventing you from achieving your goals. Take a moment to pause, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, is it too late for me? If you find yourself saying something like that, it is possible that the answer will come as a surprise to you, because as long as you are still alive, breathing, thinking, and feeling, it is never too late to start over. Lastly, some thoughts. As we become older, The words that we choose to use begin to have an effect on the emotional landscape that describes our days. They have the option of constructing bridges or erecting walls. At first glance, the 7 statements that we have discussed today could appear to be harmless, yet, over time, they can make our connections, confidence, and peace of mind more difficult to maintain. As a matter of fact, the most of us aren't even aware that we are uttering those words. Eventually, they become into routines that are woven into the fabric of regular talk, quietly causing harm for themselves. On the other hand, here is some good news. The first step toward change is realization. When you become aware of these patterns, you will be able to make other decisions. It is possible to breathe vitality into your days. Grace is something that you may give to yourself, and you can also provide grace to other people. The manner in which we communicate with ourselves and with individuals in our immediate environment is more significant than we frequently acknowledge. And after you reach the age of 70, every word matters a little bit more because there are fewer people who actually listen to you. And the times that truly matter become more distinct. To summarize, I would like for you to take away from this video the following lesson. The language of the past is not something that you are stuck in. You do not have to stick to the terms that you have continually used. You have the ability to rewrite your story, not just for yourself but also for the people in the community who love you and who can be found in the neighborhood where you reside. There is still time for you to inspire, to encourage, and to demonstrate to others what it means to be strong, wise, and kind in their purest form. We appreciate you being here with us today. It would be wonderful if you could get in touch with us. Please leave a comment below and tell us about one item you discovered today and how you intend to put it to use in your life right now. We place a high value on your opinions, so please do not be reluctant to share them with us. Our inspiration and encouragement are greatly increased as a result of reading your remarks. I would appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, and share this video if you found it to be informative and enjoyable. With your assistance, we are able to continue producing high-quality content that will both inform and inspire you. We appreciate you watching. Furthermore, we are looking forward to seeing you in the subsequent video.